You're listening to Free Zone Radio.
One of the biggest tricks, one of the most enjoyable successes you can have as an English teacher is getting your students to see the connections between what they've read and what's going on elsewhere, in their lives and in other people's. From Free Zone Radio, I'm Jason Crockett, and this is With Honors Season 2. You've heard us reference the novel Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow multiple times on this show already. It has been the common ground foundation for our conversations during the first 6 weeks of school. Our class leads off the year with a unit on the elements of short fiction, and the summer reading is the overarching example for all these elements. When we talk about suspense in The Monkey's Paw, we extend it into conversations about suspense in the summer reading. But I always leave open the option for an alternative read as well. And this summer, one of the kids took that alternative read, Yann Martel's Life of Pi.
My name is Maddie. I'm a sophomore.
Hi, my name is Maylee. I'm a sophomore.
What was freshman year like for you?
For me, it was really easy, honestly.
For me, it was like Satan's playground. It was horrible.
Today, Maddie and Maylee are going to examine the commonalities between their books, between their characters, and hopefully between ourselves. Because as much as I believe that Gabrielle Zevin's novel is a banger, and Yann Martel's novel too, it isn't about the book. It's supposed to be about the process, the learning, and the dialogue we have now and tomorrow. So one of the things about honors is that you all had summer reading, and that's what you come to the table to talk about today. You guys could have picked from two different books. You had Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, or you had Life of Pi by Yann Martel. Maddie, you picked to read
The Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. And you, Maylee, picked to read
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
So what was your impression of summer reading?
I liked the summer reading. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like Sadie. She annoyed me because I just felt bad for Sam. I felt like he had a lot of issues, and he had a lot of mental issues that also weren't looked deeper into like his physical ones were. That's all they really summed him up to be, was a boy that can't really walk because of a car wreck he got into when he was younger. And it just made me feel so bad for him because I felt like he was so much more and so much deeper than that than they expected him or wanted him to be.
My book, I liked it because Pi, he was big on his faith, and I'm really big on my faith. And he, it's kind of cool, seeing other people's perspectives on things like that. But it was kind of boring at the beginning because it just, drug out really far with all the animals and stuff. But other than that, it was good.
And did you have, any summer reading assignment for your freshman year? So neither one of you has had to do a summer reading assignment before. What were you expecting out of a summer reading assignment?
I was scared because I didn't really know what kind of teacher you were, and I didn't know if I was doing too much or too less. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of worried on the grade part of it.
Maddie, what were you expecting out of a summer reading assignment?
I kind of agree with Maylee, but I did a lot of drawings and stuff, and I did hardly any writing at all.
Now that you're on the other side of it, how do you feel about the summer reading assignment? Do you feel yeah, okay, that was totally doable, I handled it well, or what?
I liked it. I liked having to write for it because it made me actually think about the book, and it made me see what the book was trying to tell us, not just, oh, Sam doesn't have a leg.
Oh. Oh, yeah, he don't have a leg. Way to put it. What about you on the other side of it now? How do you feel about the summer reading?
I feel better because usually when I read, it just goes in one ear and out the other. I'm thinking about other things while I'm reading. I don't pay attention at all, but this makes me think harder.
Do you know I feel that way when I listen to an audiobook? Do you ever listen to audiobooks for any of your reading or anything?
I try to.
Yeah. I feel like whenever I do an audiobook, I want to just do the audiobook because I can listen to it, I can whatever. But my mind wanders in the middle of the audiobook, and suddenly I tune back in, and it's whoa, wait, she was doing what? And now I can't even find it because we're 3 minutes past or whatever.
Yeah, I do that too. If I'm not following along as it's reading, then I can't do it.
Yeah. So with our summer reading this year, you guys looked at 2 different books and you're 2 different people. You're reading it through 2 different lenses. And yet there's a lot of common ground between these. They're about 2 completely different stories. Tomorrow is about, these 20-year-olds who make a video game and they're lifelong friends and there's love and loss. But you also have Life of Pi's story about a boy who gets shipwrecked at sea and he's stuck with a tiger. And even though they're so vastly different, they do compare in ways. Let's talk about your main take on how these books overlap.
The first thing we want to talk about of how they compare and contrast is the friendship of it. Both characters are so different, except they're still such really good friends. Like in Tomorrow, Sam and Sadie. Sam grows up kind of poor, and he kind of gets made fun of for his culture and the way he looks and his background. And Sadie is really rich, and she has a good family, even though she does get overlooked because of her older sister's needs. Sam gets overlooked because of his mom's acting, but they become really good friends, even though they don't seem like they would be if you were to put them in a big crowd together.
Pi built a relationship with a tiger. His name is Richard Parker. In the beginning of the book, he moves to a new school, and he can't really find many friends, but after the shipwreck, he builds a close relationship with Richard Parker, and they survived even when it was tough.
You had mentioned at the beginning of the book how you thought it was boring because it was just about animals and everything. His dad, I thought, is trying to teach him how lethal and deadly and let's not think they're Disney creatures. These are wild animals. I thought that was a pretty lethal, scary part of the book where he's like, you're going to watch a tiger eat a creature right now. Like, did that not bother you?
Yeah, it was just that part that was kind of like stood out to me, but like it kind of drug out, with all the other animals.
At some point, though, each of your characters, each of your books, they've got like that plot door number 1 where now everything's going to change. You're not going to be able to go back to the way things were. For Pi Patel, when does he go through that plot door where there's no turning back? You are now on this adventure.
When he's on the boat, because it's either a life or death situation. If you jump out of the boat, then you're going to die, or you can have the choice to survive.
For real. Even if he wanted to get on the boat and say, well, I want to go back home to whatever, the boat sinks. There's no turning back at that point. You are stranded. What about for your book, Maylee? Who do you think is the main character? Is it Sam? Is it Sadie? Is it both?
No, Sam.
Oh, you think it's definitely Sam?
Yes.
When does he go through his plot door number 1 where there's no turning back? You are on this adventure now.
At the beginning, after the car wreck, when he's at the hospital.
Oh, in his childhood. Why? Why is that plot door number 1 for you?
That's when it all begins, when he first meets Sadie, where he first starts the issues of losing his mom and not really having anyone he connects with, and then he finds his person.
Listen to how romantic an answer that is when he finds his person. That, you know what? I didn't think you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say, oh, it's where he sees her at the train station and they're in their 20s and he chooses to go follow her. What a good plot door that is, that he finds his person. And from that point on, there's no turning back. Your life is intrinsically tied to Sadie's. Even though they do kind of had a shipwreck emotional storm of their own. Tell about that. What was it that happened to them?
Sadie kind of used Sam, but she doesn't do it to intentionally hurt him. But I think she was kind of embarrassed to be his friend at the start. And she was just using the community service as visiting him as like an excuse, being like, oh no, like it's just community service if anyone asks. But then when she's with Sam, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're just friends. Like that's just something my mom tells me to give to the doctors. And then Sam finds out about it and he's like, I thought I found an actual friend, like someone to talk to after losing my mom and not speaking to anyone. Turns out like you just weren't there for me at all. And then he feels so betrayed.
Are you going to feel betrayed when I tell you a secret right now?
No, I want to know.
Maddie asked me if she could have bonus points for doing this interview with you because she said that it was like an extra credit thing, like it was her charity, that she wanted you to have a good person to be with. I'm kidding.
I would murder Maddie.
I mean, that really does feel like a backstab thing to feel like, oh man, they're not hanging out with me because they like me. They're here for charity. That's a real backstabby kind of thing. Yeah. How are you going to feel about that?
I only hang around her to cheat off her.
Okay.
Every day in class, she goes, "What does this word mean?"
I love it. They're learning words and everything. Another thing you wanted to talk about that overlaps.
Mm-hmm. The real life relationship. It's a part of the friendship.
Yeah, talk about it. What about these real life relationships?
So like with Sadie and Sam's thing, the friendship, and then in the life of P, he also builds the friendship with the tiger, and then like real life relationships are always complicated, but in the end, they teach us how to deal with different types of things.
Yeah, and sometimes you find friendships with people that you don't expect. Like sometimes if you look at two friends, like we tend to stereotype people and think, oh, I mean, I didn't think y'all be friends. And then once you actually get to know each other, you have so much in common based off your personality and what you believe in. Just because you're into different stuff doesn't mean that you shouldn't be friends or that you won't be compatible with each other.
I think it's pretty cool that you bring up him. I think it's pretty cool that you bring up Pi befriends Richard Parker, because Richard Parker is a lethal wild animal. And it's like, why do you think that Pi befriends him?
Well, it's the only thing that he has on the boat to call like something of his, because he's lost his family, and now Richard is the only thing that he has to keep him company and feel safe.
Why is that so important? Could he not just do this on his own?
I don't think he could, because I think that it was also kind of support of having something else there, I don't know.
No, yeah, I agree. Have you ever seen the movie? It's with Tom Hanks, Castaway?
No.
You should totally watch that sometime. Tom Hanks is this guy. He's like a mailman, and he's about to get engaged to the love of his life. And he gets on an airplane to go to this delivery thing, and the plane crashes in the Pacific Ocean, and he is the only survivor, and he's stranded on an island. And he feels like he's never, ever, ever going to get back. He is there for years. And he scavenges for all these items, including this volleyball that has a bloody handprint on it, and he makes a face out of it, and he names it Wilson, like the sport company, and he talks to Wilson. Like he anthropomorphizes this volleyball because he feels like, I'm going to lose my sanity if I don't practice talking and like humanizing this thing. When he finally does make his last great escape, it's either I'm going to get off this island or I'm going to die trying. He loses Wilson to the ocean, and it is the saddest thing. It's just a volleyball, man. But you and I are like, oh, not Wilson, not Wilson, because there's a lot more of humanity that he puts into it. Richard Parker seems to just be a tiger, but Pi Patel needs that human connection. Maylee, does Sam have a tiger in his life?
No.
No? Does he not? Is Sadie not like a tiger to him? I was wondering, like, if Sadie's not a tiger, what kind of animal is she?
She acts aggressive like one.
Yeah, right? Why do you think Sam needs Sadie in his life? Even if he found out that there was this charity thing when they were children, and that really feels like a betrayal. Why does he need her in his life?
Well, if we look at the beginning, like when they're talking in the hospital and stuff, it doesn't start with like Sam talking to her. At first, he doesn't even want to speak to her. She's just like, oh, you're playing this game? I play this game all the time with my sister. Like, I want to play too. And then he just like shakes his head at first. And then like she keeps talking and talking and talking and talking to the point that he just finally answers. And it's like he just needs someone to talk to. And he just needs a friend. And Sadie just kind of happened to be there. And I think Sadie became his friend because she was so lonely because her sister had cancer. And even though it wasn't like anybody's fault, her sister was just upset all the time with the situation and taking it out on Sadie. And Sadie's mom obviously had to be there for her sister. So Sadie didn't get much attention from any of her family.
Yeah. As human beings, we crave that. Do you remember when you and Maddie became friends?
I remember.
Do you?
Yeah.
This is not like the Newlywed Game where it's like, oh, you didn't get it right. We didn't remember when you met. I mean,
I think I just need a reminder.
okay. When did you become friends?
Well, we knew each other in like middle school, but we started like getting close last year in Miss Dyer's room.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
But you knew each other in middle school?
Yeah.
What was it that made you all be friends? Was there like a specific time when you were like, okay, this is my best friend. This is my good friend. This is whatever. Like, when did you ever feel like we were going to be friends? Or did it just gradually happen and you've just kind of been hanging out and it's like, oh, yeah, we're really good friends. We sit next to each other in class, all that.
I think that it kind of gradually happened because we also have another friend. And, like, she's my best friend. She's her best friend. And so, like, we just kind of ended up being friends.
It just gradually happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. And we had like a bunch of classes together, and that just kind of brought us closer too.
There was never a time when Sam was like, I'm going to make her my friend. There was never a time when Pi Patel was like, oh, I want to be best friends with Richard Parker or anything. He knew, I need this for my life. And in some way, Sam was just like, he knew, I need this for my life. And in some way, you and your friends just kind of knew, I need this person in my life. Isn't that a sweet thing? Aren't we all on the Feel Good Friends train today? How about that?
Yeah, me and Maddie actually don't do that. We say, let's become closer friends. Like, we say that like once a week.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, we like establish that.
Yeah.
Like, make it a plan.
Woman, that is crazy. Okay. Well, that's awesome.
We like to be on the same page.
Yeah.
What do you do to actively be better friends? Oh, nothing. You just say it.
Well,
we
yeah.
should.
I think that we both try to be there for each other and, like, not just leave the other hanging, I guess.
Yeah, and we usually always talk to each other in the classes we have, and we sit with each other.
Just
That's
keep
awesome.
that connection.
That's great. I love that. Another overlapping feature between these two books. What do you want to talk about?
Finding our identity.
In my book, Sadie struggles to not just blend in when she's making the books because she feels like Sam's the face of it and like Mark's is the pretty one. So like they're just like the face of everything. And they're like, they even tell her that it'll be better if they say that a man does it. And Sadie's like, I did most of the work. Like, why am I just blending in? Like, I'm not getting any praise for this. Even if she says she doesn't want to go on the tours, like she still wants that praise for what she did and that attention. And then Sam struggles to find himself after his mom dies. He struggles to figure out who he wants to be and how he wants to live and who he wants to become. And Mark's even talks about him struggling a little bit. He wants to be in theater and his father's not too happy with that. And he talks about how he always gets typecasted as like the handsome one, and he wants to always have more depth to the characters that he plays, and he never seems to get it because all they ever see of him is like someone that's perfect and rich and pretty and smart. They never see him as like saying, hey, I have problems and I have feelings too.
My book, Pi struggles with finding and holding on to what religion he believes in, because I'm pretty sure in the book he had this teacher who was kind of like testing his faith and stuff, and he struggled to know if there even was a God, and even on the boat because he struggled to keep his faith and keep on hoping that God would get them out of the situation.
We have this universe in the class that has all of the major characters that my students have ever read in high school. And Pi Patel is right there above Innocent Child. Pi's three teachers are over there to the right of the mentor magician. It's Pi's teachers. And he has one of each of the main three religions, right? He's got one who's a Christian, one who's a Muslim, and one who's a Buddhist, I think, correct? Isn't that right? He's got three of them that are of the different angles.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Because at one point, Pi's I consider myself a Christian. And at one point, he's like, well, I consider myself a Muslim.
Yeah.
Well, I consider myself this. And I've had students before who are like, well, how can he be all three? Something that I've experienced as a person growing up and as a teacher of people growing up is that you inherit this world where your parents, your teachers, everybody tells you this is what the world's like. And as you're becoming a human being, an adult, you take this set of rules, you take this set of truths, and you decide, well, how do I believe in them, and what do I see as true? And maybe I see it my grandpa's way, but maybe I see it my brother's way, and you kind of figure out your way of viewing the universe too. That's part of growing up. And that's Pi as well. You've got so many different voices in your life, so many different mentor figures. You've got good coaches, you've got good pastors, good parents, good teachers, good everybody who have opportunities to pour into you. But it's entirely up to you what you choose to learn from those lessons and what you choose to grow with. Same thing with Pi. Maylee, do you ever feel like you are struggling to figure out who you are as a person? Whether it's your sophomore year, freshman year, middle school, any of that?
Sometimes it's just hard. Like, I know, like, I'm a big Christian and stuff, and, like, sometimes being in certain classes, like, with so many people and everybody have so many different opinions and beliefs about stuff, sometimes they try to, like, not say stuff around you because, like, they just, like, know you're not going to agree. Or, like, you'll be like, what'd you say? And they'll just, like, straight up ignore you. Or, like, if, like, somebody's talking about something that they probably shouldn't even be talking about at school, and you're like, oh, what'd you say? They're like, no, don't tell her. She doesn't need to know. And then I just kind of look like a fool. I'm like,
I don't think you look like a fool, because maybe you're like, yeah, I probably don't want to know about that. Like,
Yeah,
I probably
I mean,
don't want to hear about that. I do think sophomore year, freshman year, whatever, high school can be a real challenge because you are figuring out who you want to be. Has your style changed since you were like, I don't know, 7th grade?
yes, in 7th grade, I was scared of life and everyone.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wear, like, just gray and white and blend
What?
in.
Really?
Yes, I was so scared.
Oh.
But now I love colors. I just want to be colorful.
If we compared Maddie's sophomore year picture to her freshman year picture, are you going to look big different? Or do you think your style has been pretty consistent over the last year?
I think I'd look kind of different.
Okay. Sometimes I'll tell my seniors that, and it's like, ooh, seniors, let's look at freshman you. And so many people are like, no, don't bring it up, because you do change a lot over the course of high school. And that's another thing I love about having sophomores is I get to be here with you through an entire calendar year. And you are different in May than you were all the way back in August, because you've just grown some. Maybe not in height, but I mean, different ways. Was there ever a phase you feel like I went through this phase where I was always about this? Maylee, you went through grays, right?
Yeah.
You were just grays, black, white. That was your palette for a while.
Yeah, I just, like, didn't want to stand out. I was just trying to blend in and just get through life, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really a colorful person.
What about Maddie? Was there ever a phase you went through?
In elementary school, I was all about basketball
Oh my
and
gosh.
sports and all that. So I'd wear these Nike headbands across my forehead every day, and basketball shorts, tank tops, anything to look like a basketball player.
Oh, yeah. Back in the 90s, there was a very popular band called Spice Girls. Have you ever heard of them before, Spice Girls?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I was going to feel really stupid old for a second there if you didn't know this. But each one of them had like their own phase identity. You had Sporty Spice and you had whatever. So you went through your sporty, your identity there, and you went through your grays and your blacks and whites. If Jason Crockett went through a phase when he was in high school, what was his phase? What was his style phase?
Definitely superhero.
Oh, yeah, you definitely wore some capes.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
Or maybe like you were a nerd.
That wasn't just a phase. That was the guy. He was a nerd the whole way.
You were probably one of those people that use really big words, and just so, like, around people that you knew wouldn't know the words, that way they would have to ask you what the words meant, and you'd be like, don't worry.
Oh, don't worry about it. So I could feel better about myself. My freshman year of college, I went through a cowboy Western phase. Oh. I did. I bought a cowboy hat and I bought plaid button-down shirts, and I did. I have long since lost that cowboy hat. I don't know where it went to, The shirts, long since gone. But I do have one thing that I love to wear, and it's my boots. I love my boots. I love them. And when the weather gets colder, I'm going to wear them to school. I love them. I do. I love them. They're great.
Nice.
Did you ever think that Jason Crockett would be a boots kind of person, though?
Never.
No.
But we all take these things, and there's going to be a day where you feel like, you know what, I'm in my gray day today, and you'll go back to wearing grays and blacks and whites for whatever. Maybe not like everything, but you'll still have your phase. You're going to tell me you still don't like sports?
No, I love sports.
See?
I'm just not like the headband wearing girl anymore.
Yeah. But you have this complicated, all of these layers of who you are, complicated characters. What's your third point you want to talk about? Our third crossover.
Loss
Loss of what?
of anything. It can be like loss of people, but it doesn't have to be just by death. So like when Marks dies, it's hard on Sadie and Sam because it was so unexpected and it was so quick. And Sadie kind of blames Sam, even though there was absolutely nothing he could do about it, because they were there to get Sam over like the dumbest reason ever, just because they had different beliefs in something. And it was like Marks believed in the same thing, and it kind of had a bigger meaning because Marks not only died for his friend, but he also died for his beliefs, and he also like died protecting the other people that was there, because he could have lied and been like, oh no, that was all Sam. I'm Marks. I don't believe in that. I told them no, that we shouldn't have put those ideas in there. But no, he stood up for it, and he was like, okay, like I'm going to do this. And like he died for what he believed in. And the same way with how Sam loses Sadie. Like she was everything to him. He had nothing without her. Even all the games meant nothing. He even created a game just so he could talk to Sadie and have a fake reality and a fake world with her where everything works out. Even though she wasn't dead, it was just like he lost her and they could never go back to the way it was.
That is such a brilliant crossover idea. I never even thought about that. Like they together experience the loss of a person that they can't bring back. And that triggers Sadie completely withdrawing from their relationship, their job, their world. And in a way, that's like a loss. And he could try to bring her back. And he goes to such extreme lengths. That is brilliant. I never even thought about that before. He couldn't save this one and pull it back, but he could save that one. What about loss in the life of Pi?
Whenever Pi meets Richard, Pi thinks that they built this close relationship, and that was the only thing that he had left. Whenever they get to land, Richard, he leaves Pi, and Pi thinks that they've built this close relationship, but since Pi has lost everything, he's gone through something, and that's the only thing that he has left. But who knows, Richard may have never felt that feeling of loss.
Absolutely, entirely true. So we accept the idea that Richard Parker is this tiger that we've been feeding, that we've been trying to train and tame in some ways, even though he's a wild, untamable creature, only to finally, after so many days at sea, make it to shore. Tiger just disappears, runs away, right? But then our survivor afterward is confronted with the question, did Richard Parker ever exist? Did the hyena ever exist? Did whatever actually ever exist? Because you find out that one version of the story is, well, it was your mother, not an orangutan. Well, it was the sailor, not this. Well, it was the cook, not this. So Richard Parker could be the manifestation of Pi's own, rage or something like that. But Pi also says most people don't like to hear that story. It could be this way, where there really was a tiger. But either way, something is lost. Pi's friendship with Richard Parker or his some sort of understanding of himself. Both books can be about loss.
Yeah. Also, like you said, this might sound crazy, but
Do it.
like whenever his dad was teaching him about the tiger and stuff, it could be like a mental thing about the tiger.
Exactly
he was
right.
Scared of it.
If Dad had coached him from the very beginning, this is what fear looks like. Imagine when the boy is trying to rationalize his fear while being abandoned at sea. Wouldn't it appear to him in the image of a tiger? I think that's brilliant. What's your last overlapping idea that you want to talk about today?
The importance of faith.
do it. Talk about it.
Sam has a religious background. Like, he's raised up Jewish, and like he kind of gets made fun of it for it because he's like half Jewish and he's like half Korean. Even though like his father's not a big part of his life, he still like looks that way, and it's still a part of him. And Sam feels like it's not fair. He thinks like he's not even a part of my life, and I didn't want this, and I still have it. And he thinks it's like selfish that he has to go through that and get treated differently just for the way things are. And Sadie also grows up religious, and she grows up getting all this community service hours, like for, what do you call it, bar mitzvah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
her, it's her bat mitzvah. Yeah.
Oh, well, she gets all these community service hours for that from like volunteering with Sam, but Sadie doesn't really like turn to it like in a way of like comfort for God. She turns it into like a sense of like pride, and like she's using it for like her own benefit. Like when it's supposed to make you feel better, like not feel better, but when you do community service, it's supposed to be to help others, to make a difference and to make a change, and that you're actually helping someone's life and you're changing it for the better. But Sadie didn't see it that way. She thought, here's a quick, easy way out of it. And even though I'm embarrassed to be Sam's friend, I like spending time with him because I'm always at the hospital because of my sister. So it was kind of a selfish thing for her. And when Marks dies, they kind of talk about it. They don't refer to God or like refer to a specific faith, but they talk about how they wish there was an alternate universe of how they want to change things, and of how Sam builds like the game to see Sadie, of how he wants to like in the game, he wants to have a relationship with Sadie, and how he tries to raise the child with her. And once he finds out that Marks and Sadie love each other, he talks about how he wants to change it, and about how he just doesn't know how the only person he's ever loved is in love with somebody else, and he just looks for a way to change it, and he just wants it all to be different.
For Pi, he finds meaning through faith and prayer, but the way that he's challenged with it is on the boat he kind of like loses all hope, but then he realizes like God's got his back and he can do anything.
That's another thing that I love about both of these books is that if our writers ever come to us and say, well, here's the nice, neat answer to the story. Here's what you're supposed to learn. Here's what you're supposed to take away from it. That's the meaning of life. It would feel really fake. It would feel really just simplistic, and because the answer for Maylee is not always the answer for Maddie, is not always the answer for Jason, is not always the answer for somebody else. And there are so many different voices, so many different experiences. If you look at everybody, we're all a mix of different things. Have you ever looked at where your family comes from?
No.
Has your families never talked to you about that before? Like where your family, where your people come from?
No.
My family's old. They're like in their 60s. Like,
yeah.
My parents are like, they're just from here.
I love it. Has your family always been from this area?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometime as you get older, you should look into it. Look into your genealogy and see, where do your people come from? I feel like in the South, we're just all about that for some reason. Where do your people come from? And I know that my people come from Fentress County, and there's some in Ohio, and there's like if you trace my Crockett family all the way back, we came from England and Ireland and France and all of this. Well, you think about all these different backgrounds, all of these different people who have made you. They didn't all believe the same way. They didn't all like love the same way. You know, that there was such a variety of different things. You think about your parents and what differences they are in people, right? You think about their parents and how they might be different from you too. And the same thing with Pi Patel. He's got teachers of different faiths. He's got family that sees things different. And even he is a mixture of, well, here's how my faith gets me through that. His book is totally applicable to anybody of faith or not. Just like Tomorrow. You don't have to be Jewish to appreciate it. You don't have to be Korean to appreciate it. You don't have to be whatever. Anybody can appreciate it. And it's just a mix of good things. what's your last takeaway or anything you want to talk about?
Our last big takeaway, or what we want listeners to remember or talk about, is basically we feel like the big points of both books are that you have to have human connections and that they matter. And you have to believe in something, even if it's not religion. With Sadie and Sam, they never turn and pray to God and say, I need this. But they turn to the video games, and they turn to their work, and they turn to creating something together. Because when they create the game together, and it has where all these people can get married and where you can just die and start over, it's okay, nothing bad has to happen. And if I make the wrong choice, I can just start it all over. It's comfort for them knowing they can somehow fix the things that they messed up, and they believe in that. And it helps them go on even after their best friend and their boyfriend just died. It helps them to go about and say, okay, I can still live knowing I can believe in this. And they have to have that human connection with each other to not be alone after they just went through the hardest points of their life.
For the life of P, human connections matter because even whenever he had nobody, he still had at least something to lean on, and that was Richard Parker, the tiger, and yeah.
Well, for real, if Sam is going to get through this life, he craves his connection with Sadie. Even though he hates her in his childhood sometimes, even though he's jealous, why do you love Marks more than you love me? He craves her in his life. And, we don't do spoilers at the end, whether they ever get together or not, but, he needs connection in his life. And Pai Patel, what a powerful image. He is the human lost at sea. And sometimes we all feel lost at sea. You could be surrounded by 900 kids here at White County High School, and you feel surrounded by nothingness some days. That maybe you just don't have connection. But then there's that person that you got to be best friends with, and I don't know, we need that connection in our lives. With Honors is a Free Zone Radio production, recorded here in Sparta, Tennessee. Never heard of that place, you say? Well, you must be one of the few Americans left who hasn't yet moved here or visited nearby. But still, we'd love you to give the kids a like and a subscribe. It's the way we stay visible and stay in business these days. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell a teacher, tell your mama, tell a neighbor to go listen to the show too. And leave the kids a comment. They look forward to hearing what you thought about their book to movie comparisons too. And if you're looking for more good content, tune in to Second Stage, premiering this season, and also to our brother podcasts, A Dead Man's Books and Pasting Curation. You can find us all on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to great content.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books. And of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time. But I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.